Hi there, thanks for joining me at Stamp with Kimberly. This week I am featuring the Fluffy Squirrel bundle, and this is something that I featured over on my Motivation Monday on Create with Kim on Facebook. And I'm just going to make one simple little card for you today, but I am bringing this in, and I'm also bringing in the Gather Together designer paper. But first I want to talk a little bit about this. You can get this as individually, or you can get it as a bundle and save 10%. He is a super cute little squirrel that this is the one that coordinates with the punch, so you get the acorn and the squirrel that cuts out at the same time. And then this one you can just stamp directly on your paper. And then the way he's holding his hands, it looks like you can put a flower or a present or an acorn right in his little hand. So today we're going to be doing a birthday card, and so we're going to use the little present. But it says, "Go nuts, it's your birthday." I think it's super cute. I'm also bringing in the Circle of the Season add-on, which is a paper pumpkin add-on. So stay tuned for that. And then the paper that I'm using, like I said, is Gather Together. This is beautiful paper. On one side you have your plaids and your dark early espressos and basic beiges and Cajun craze and all of like the basic fun fall colors. And then on the other side you have these really pretty foils. There's 3 different leaves in here, so they're all just a tad different. This one's got a little bit more color. This one's more neutral with the basic beige and the Cajun craze and early espresso. And then it's got these little mushrooms in here. And then this one has the basic beige background. So they're all just a little bit different, but very, very beautiful with all the gold foil in them. And then this one that is old olive with the foil. And this one, it's got the pattern real light in the background, but that foil accent just really makes it pop. And very, very pretty paper. And this is what we're going to be using today. And it's always fun to layer them up on your project and create with them. So this is what we're going to be doing, is just using all of the little pieces to layer this card up. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you need is an 8.5 by 5.5. This is just basic beige. And then the pieces that you need of the designer paper. So for the leaves, this is 4.25 by 3. And then we have a strip of the Cajun craze. This is 1.5 by 4.25. And then this cream piece is 2.5 by 3. And then this little strip is what I'm using just to make a little border here. So we're going to be using a scallop punch for that. And then I brought in the traditional labels again. I love these labels. So I showed you guys these last week, but if you didn't see it, it is out of the Holiday Mini also. Traditional Labels has the stamp set and it has the coordinating dies. And there's lots of different ones going on in here. So we are using one of those, but I'm doing something a little bit different with it. So if you see that these, they have like the line in them, we are going to be cutting one of those away and then layering this up. So nice and fun and simple. And who sends out fall cards? Do you guys send out fall? Okay, so what I want to do first is I'm going to bring in my early espresso and my blending brush, and I like to ink up all my edges on these. And I usually do this first so that it has time to dry and it doesn't smear onto our card here. Just kind of gives it a little bit of definition around the edges. Just like that. And then I'm going to bring in, this is an old scallop edge punch that I have, and this is a retired punch. So I'm just going to punch this really quick. So if you have a punch like this, or you haven't had a punch like this, you don't know how to use it, you just do the middle first, and then you line up your scallops with what's already there and punch. And now we have this fun little scallop to use on our project. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm also going to ink this up because when you cut it, you end up with those white little edges there. And we want to get rid of those. And then I'm just going to take this little tiny snip off. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue right along the edge here. And I'm just going to line my paper up here. You can make your border as big or as small as you want. I'm just going to have a little bit showing there. And then we're going to glue this to our card front. Okay. Such pretty paper. And then I have a strip of the Cajun Craze, like I said, so we're going to line this one up as well. Make our leaves go the right direction here. Put that right on there. Okay, and then here's our other little piece of the basic beige. So as you can see, it comes together really quickly. But these colors together, they just coordinate so well, and they're just so pretty together. So there is our basic card. Now I'm going to push that out of the way. I'm going to bring in a piece of crumb cake, and we're going to grab our cute little squirrel here. Now you can do this either way. You can do the background first and then do the outline, or you can do it vice versa, whichever is easier for you. I am going to be using crumb cake ink on crumb cake paper. And I'm just going to stamp this little guy here. Just like that. And he looks really funny. When I first stamped him, I was like, oh, he's got some big old eyes. But once you put the overlay, this piece on, then he looks normal. Then he's okay. So I'm going to grab some early espresso. And I found that if you line up his ear and you line up his foot, then you're usually pretty safe as far as getting him even here. Just like that. Isn't he cute? So now we can take our little squirrel punch and pop this out. Now we'll cut the acorn out at the same time, so you can use that on your project or another project. It's a cute little acorn there. So here's our little squirrel, and we'll save him for there. And then I'm going to bring in my two labels. I've already cut out a Cajun Craze and a white one. So what I wanted to show you is that I told you last week when you die cut these that if you use the wax paper trick, that it makes these pop out super easy. But because they are kind of cut like that, it makes it super easy to just go around the edges here and cut that off. Just like this. And then you can save this outer piece to layer up onto another project. Oops, I missed that one. Okay, just like that. So you can save this to put on something else. But what I want is this piece right here. So I'm just going to go along the edges and kind of even this out and get rid of those little points where it was cut off. That's pretty good. And then I will take my blender brush and just kind of ink around the edges of this as well. That kind of camouflages some of that bumpiness around the edge. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to get my Cajun Craze And we're going to stamp our sentiment. Go nuts, it's your birthday. It's fitting for a little squirrel, huh? There we go. And then I can layer this with dimensionals right on top of the Cajun Craze one. I'm going to use some of these little end pieces here. So it's nice. I like these labels. You can mix and match them and do all sorts of things with them. And this is just another way that you can just create a little dimension and something different with them. So what I want to do is I'm going to put this on here, but I don't want my squirrel just like floating up in the air. So if I were to put this down here, he'd just kind of be floating. So I'm going to slide this over just a little bit to where he looks like he's standing on top of the sentiment block. So we're going to put this down first. That way we make sure we have enough room for him to stand on. And then I can glue him. Well, actually, I'm going to pop him up. I'm going to put him on dimensionals as well. So let me bring in some more dimensionals. Oh, gotta use an end piece on this one too. And we'll pop him right up here. So it looks like he's sitting right on top of the sentiment there. Okay. Cute, huh? Okay, so now he needs to be holding something. So I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper and we need to stamp this little present. So he's right here. And I'm going to use Early Espresso again. Super cute. And I'm going to let that sit for just a minute and have time to dry because I'm going to color this with our blends, and because it's not the Memento ink, it may smear a little bit, so I'm just going to let that dry for a minute. I'm going to bring in these pieces from the Paper Pumpkin add-on. This is from the Circle of the Season. These were super cute. These were the last month's Paper Pumpkin add-ons that have the hello, and it's got the strawberry and then the acorn. So it uses the same base, but then the strawberry will cut out the dots in the center, and then the acorn is the piece right here. And then it's got the leaves up here for the top of the strawberry and this fun circle. So these add-ons are like super inexpensive, and they're a great way to add to your collection. And what I did with these, I used Country Woods designer paper, and I just had a strip, so it cut off a little bit of the top, but it's okay because these little tops are going to just cover that right up. So I want to glue these tops onto the top of my acorn here. So like I said, this is Country Woods, and then I used Early Espresso for the little topper here. So aren't they cute? Oops, stay on there. So I'm going to take one of these and glue it directly down onto the card like this. And then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to add a dimensional. And we're going to pop this. Ooh, that's a lot of dimensionals, but okay. We are going to put them all down. Maybe not. That one doesn't need to go. Come on. We're going to pop this one right up top there. And then these little leaves, those are were also in the add-ins. So I'm going to pop these on here as well. I cut these out in Cajun Craze. No, I didn't. I cut these out in crushed curry. So I'm going to pop these up here. This one I can stick right underneath there. Isn't that fun? Just makes it look real whimsical, like the wind is blowing there. I'm going to color this present in with a yellow. That kind of pulls my yellow up from the crushed curry at the bottom. And then I have a gold spectrum marker, and I'm going to color the bow gold, and that kind of brings out the gold that's in my designer paper. Just like that. Now there is no punch for this, but it's super easy to just cut this right out. It's mostly all straight lines. You just have to get around this little bow here. Okay. Just like that. Around these edges just a little bit. And because I popped the squirrel up, I will be able to slide this right up underneath, so it's going to look like he's holding his little present here. Just like that. Isn't that cute? I think he's super cute. So to finish it off, I'm going to bring in my faux glass dots here, and then there's a few Cajun Craze ones in here. So I'm going to pop these on. Let me pop one in here. And then this is light enough that I could stamp on the inside, but what I'm going to do, since I want to do a little stamping on the inside too, is I'm going to bring in a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 white, and I'm going to bring in this cute little acorn that's in the stamp set. And my early espresso again. And we're going to stamp 3 of these right on the inside there. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment inside in Cajun Craze. This says, "May you gather happiness." So I'm going to put that right on the inside. Okay, and then I want to color my acorns. So I'm going to use the light pecan pie for the tops. And then I'll use the light crumb cake for the bottom. Now, if I were to stamp this directly on the card, like I said, it would bleed through and you'd be able to see it on the back side of your card. So that's why I just put this insert in here. And now we can take this and just glue it to the inside of our card here. Just like that. There you go. There is Fluffy Squirrel. He's a super cute little squirrel that you could have lots of fun with. I do have a few more projects to use with him that I'll be showing you guys, but don't forget you can get him as a bundle and save 10%, and he is in the holiday mini catalog if you go to look for him. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.